Welcome to the North-South Connection as we count down WarGames. Tonight's episode will be the 11th one on our list, which is NXT TakeOver WarGames 2019, the female edition of this match, the first female match of all time in a WarGame setting, and a match that I think I picked. And now we're going to I want to thank Ryan Everett for coming on and talking about the match with me. Ryan, do you think this is a good spot for this match?
Yeah, I think this, seeing what's ranked around it, it fits very well. And I think it's not a spoiler, it is the highest women's match of the War Games, and I think it is still the highest quality that they've gotten to.
Right, well, Cage Match thinks it's an 8.5. Ryan Gray's favorite boy, Dave Meltzer, thinks it's a 4.25. And someone that I can't remember thinks it's a 4. Which one is that?
That is Mr. Gray, I believe.
Oh, the man himself, Ryan Gray, thinks it's a 4. So I like those. And let's see why we like them. Let's see how we got here first. Ryan, I think you know a little better than me if you want to give the rundown.
So at this point, Shayna Baszler had been women's champ for quite a while in NXT. She was kind of the female head of the company. And she had her two flunkies, Jasmine Dukes and Marina Schaefer, I think. The other of the lesser known of the four horsewomen of MMA. And they were not very good in the ring. So I remember watching this in the build-up, being like, oh, I hope they don't put these two in here. But they kind of went away for a while. And they brought in Io, who was very hot as a heel at the time. Kaylee Ray, who was from the NXT UK champ at the time. I did not know going into this match at all and barely remember that she was in it. And then Bianca Belair, and that was kind of because she had kind of been trending more face for a little bit. And they had a couple matches with Baszler, but then I think just kind of the numbers game, they needed someone else on the heel side. So she kind of went that way. And
I've always been a big Bianca as a heel person, so I kind of love. I think I always liked her. I kind of forget she even had a little bit of an NXT face run. So
I think it was just kind of. It wasn't like she turned face; it was just kind of by default. The fans started cheering for her, especially against Baszler, who was a great heel at the time.
Right, and she was on a massive run. Baszler was, and I guess the most important lead-in is kind of how we got like some of we had the women's. There was a women's tag tournament, and there's a lot of stuff happening to get Mia Yim in the match and then out of the match.
Right.
And then Dakota Kai steps in to say, hey, put me in there, coach.
Yeah. Because she had been pushing beforehand, like the last couple of weeks beforehand, she wanted to be part of the WarGames match.
Which I think really fits too, because Baszler kind of built her run on one of her early feuds was the Dakota thing where she was
where she slashed her and
Dakota was acting insane and was terrified to even face her, and I hated that at the time because I love Dakota as a person, as a wrestler, and I was just like, but she did a great job of really establishing Baszler as a fucking monster, and Kyrie Lee put her over the edge, and I think the Candice feud too. So like it was cool that it made sense to have Dakota on there. So the way they got there, it wasn't necessarily the most vicious like feud of like.
Right. Yeah, I think it was kind of more of a Rio was being built along, so you knew she was heading for Baszler eventually. And then you kind of like, pair them off like old Survivor Series feuds. Candice had her thing with Io, and then the other kind of just fell into place.
So I guess the teams, they're right there. We don't need to go through them, but we'll talk about the match. Typical babyface beat down to start. Yep. I thought Candice was amazing in this role. She takes an ass kicking very well. You go back to PWG, like she was such a fucking babyface in peril with Mr. What's his face, Joey Ryan, the worst of the three Ryans we'll talk about tonight. But yeah, like she's such a good job in the world's cutest tag team. So it's just it's the perfect role for her. She's the perfect person on the team to take this. And that first like 8-minute stretch was pretty brutal. She had some good stuff, but it really is a typical establish. The heels beating the shit out of them, and Rhea comes in fourth. Did you like that she came in? The captain came in early. Do you think that was a good choice? Or?
Yeah, I think it's a good. Kayfabe wise, it's good to show that the captain wants to get in right away and try and turn the tide after the heel advantage.
Yeah, right. She came in, and then you get Bianca and Bianca. No, sorry, she was in the second. So who's third? Oh, Kaylee Ray comes in.
Kaylee Ray, all the weapons.
Yeah, and Kaylee brings in the weapons, then she heals up the weapons too. She takes the
Yeah, she
table,
doesn't bring
shoves
the
it under
table.
the ring. I thought that was awesome. Kaylee really surprised me in this match. I was amazed. Like you said, you kind of forgot she was in the match. I kind of forgot she was in the match too when I thought back on it, and then I watched it, and she is perfect in this match at coming in at random moments and just doing crazy, like tornado DDT onto some chairs. She takes some crazy moves. Like she was the surprise MVP for me. I really liked it. She does a lot of great heel things, like putting the chairs away when they're in the match, and
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool of her. And then we have to go to why I think this match is probably the most remembered, which is the Dakota enters,
Yep.
looks at the ring, has a moment of fear. I thought that she did really good acting here. Turns around, you don't know what's happening, and fucking clobbers her bestie in the world, Tegan Knox. Massive boot, a Michael Hayes esque slamming of a door onto the head of
Yeah.
Tegan Knox,
She
and
really gives her a beat down.
right, goes after the bad knee, goes after her face and her head. The guys are coming in the ring. Did you like that? I was totally surprised by that, and
Yeah, I mean, I was there, so I
oh, nice.
was not expecting that at all. Like I figured, this is gonna be classic 4-on-4 war games, kind of get it off to a start. And yeah, when that happened, I was shocked. And I think most people in the crowd did not see it coming. It
Yeah,
was
I
yeah, it
thought it was
was
awesome. I mean, I can't think of another heel turn in a War Games match. Maybe the
yeah.
Sting weirdness in
Yeah, you
'96
could
was
say
kind of
Sting
like
and I
that.
guess heading the next year with the NWO thing, but it was still different because it happened like in the ring in the match.
Right, like, this was a very interesting thing. I guess Bryan Danielson had a Cage of Death. He turned on Samoa
Oh
Joe
yeah,
for Ring of
ROH.
Honor, probably the best one. But for me, it's interesting to think they've had so many, and this was one of the first major heel turns in it, which is kind of an interesting thing. I guess when you're in the match, it's kinda hard to have a heel turn because 'cause you're kinda stuck in there.
You're in a
I guess
cage already,
I
yeah.
guess you just join, like, it's like you have to I don't know, there is a lot of logistical stuff, but I think it's really interesting that that happened. Um, did you think it went on too long? 'Cause someone mentioned that to me once that they
I
thought it went on too
remember
long.
I think I remember live it kind of being like waiting for the next thing to happen, but watching it now, it kind of makes sense that it would take that long. And she
I guess
even
'cause
takes a swing at William Regal, which is pretty crazy.
right, right, she should've swung at, Drake
I
Wirtz,
remember
but, yeah,
that
she
got
went for
the
Regal
the
instead. Yeah,
crowd that got the crowd against her very big when she went after William Regal.
yeah, I mean, come on, that's, Uncle Bill, like,
Yeah.
I guess when you're live too, you kinda can see that the ring has people in it, and you have to like, for those
Right.
performers in the ring, what are they doing? Like, maybe if they had cut to Rhea really trying to get out to help, but it's not like this is her best friend in the world, Tegan Knox, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like
Someone she wanted to try
yeah,
to
she's pissed
help
about,
her.
like, the match, but it's, like, not a personal thing, it didn't seem, so I liked it. I thought it was ultra vicious and really takes a babyface character and just pushed it over the edge and 2
Yeah.
total healed him, so I like that. One thing I didn't love was when Rhea comes in next, right? The amount of, like, pantomime and bad acting she does on the way to the ring, like,
Oh yeah. Counting
she
counting numerous times.
right, she does every heel move with the, like, clapping, "Oh, this one's in the bag," and, she is not known for her acting, and it's probably a good reason why, so,
Yeah.
that was kind of like not the a letdown, but it was just a little weird to see her with so much, like, pantomime. She enters the ring. Did you think she seemed a little lacking to me as far as a captain entering the ring? I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think it was kind of trying to go off this one's in the bag now. Like, I don't even have to try that hard. It's just going to be these two, so we'll be able to take them out. I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of how I read it, and it kind of goes along with her character of, she'll only kind of fight as hard as she needs to. So it kind of works for
I
her.
guess I guess that's a good point. And there were some really cool moments after the match officially started with it's a cool moment two on like a battle going towards each
Yeah.
other in the middle of the ring, which is always a cool war games thing. We could touch on some of the cool moments in the match, but let's just jump to the finish. What do you
Okay.
think of the finish?
Yeah. So, like, from the moonsault on, kind of.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I think that's a good thing that they made sure to do, like where it's not all of a sudden the faces just start, peeling off finishers and come back from 4-on-2. It's EO goes for the moonsault off the top of the cage and hits Candice, but also Belair. And I forgot how Kaylee, I think Rhea hits Kaylee Ray with a couple chair shots to send her
She does a super. She catches her and does a suplex. Kaylee tries to do another tornado DDT. Rhea keeps her in the and just tosses her right into the cage in another 6 spot. Kaylee nailing it again. But yeah,
And
so
then,
they're all on that side of the ring. It's wiped out, and then you get the
so
boss,
it's just
boss battle.
Shayna and Rhea on the one side, and Shayna gets the armbar or the Kerfuda clutch, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever one she was using at the time, but Rhea powers out of it, and hits a riptide off the top rope onto chairs, and that's enough to finish it off.
See, whenever I see handcuffs in a match, I kind of get a little like annoyed. They're not my favorite thing in the world. In the history of war games, I know that there is a match I remember watching Puerto Rico shit where they do like a weird war games, but the purpose is to handcuff your opponent to the cage.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if this was a callback to a weird Puerto Rican match with Carlos Colon battling, Chicky Star's team. But if it was, that's pretty cool. I usually hate them, but I like the idea of handcuffing your opponent to keep them close to you so you can kick the shit out of them. I kind of thought maybe Rhea could have just like booted the shit out of her and really just decimated her without having to hit the riptide, maybe. But that's where the weird part of this match kind of comes from too, is what happens next. Because it's like Rhea Ripley beats the 2 biggest stars of the company, the 2 of the biggest stars of the company the next night.
Yeah.
So I guess you don't need to have Rhea beating the fucking total shit out of her in this
and
match.
I think she had actually beat Becky Lynch and Charlotte on SmackDown the night before in a triple threat match. So,
and then she beats Becky and Bayley the next night. But she moved. So I don't know. Maybe that's the reason why she didn't just get decimated. But I mean, it really does set up Rhea for. Once again, it's such a weird thing after this match because that's such a strange Survivor Series that happens.
Right.
Like, I was thinking like how like I was equating this to like 94. How like 94 is kind of like the end of original WCW War Games.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like the new version of like the kind of the cleaner version and stuff like that.
Yeah, the non-blood.
Yeah, so like this is to me like this is more like a birth of maybe what could be a new version of War Games, and with the amount of talent in this match, it kind of feels like wow, like this really it's cool that they have all these people that are doing all these cool
it's
things.
not like they're just shoehorning them into it. Like they all fit in that type of match.
Right, and besides maybe Kyrie, like the big hitters of NXT are here, and like obviously Rhea, Bianca, or EO now has some of the biggest company. Other people had runs that are kind of not as great, but it seems like a Candice had big things planned. Dakota, maybe, I don't know, but it's cool to me because that's how I looked at it. It was like it's kind of like a new using this match as like this is what we're going to be doing next, right? So I thought that was kind of cool.
No, I think it was a great start to the women's tradition match. Like they have their own style that you're going to see, but they're still going to do a lot of the main bits of that is now the trope of the WWF.
And we'll talk about old and new a little bit too, where like weapons in a War Games. I know a lot of people have problems with them. It's a different time. Yeah. I like my one thing that I did like was in a weird way of like once again a call back to WCW when Bobby Zbyszko takes the fucking thing off the turnbuckle and hits Eaton with it.
Right.
Kind of thought that was interesting here. Maybe a callback where the handcuffs are brought in by Shayna and they're used against her. I don't know if that's a callback on purpose, but to me, I look at it that way, and I think that's pretty fucking cool. How many War Games also have the main person? Like Shayna lost. Like,
how
many times did Ric Flair submit in a War Games? Like,
it was usually always they kind of pick a weak link of the team.
Like a J.J. Dillon's in there for a reason, right? To get
Robert Parker's in there.
And I guess that's too. Like maybe that goes to the way of like a War Games is for punishment, and like you could really punish a J.J. Dillon. You're not going to really punish a Shayna like I was saying maybe with Rhea kicking the shit out of her.
Plus, I think it's different now that you could do a pinfall, so it's not as much of a beat someone into submission type finish anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think the build led to the actual match. Like, do you think it paid off a lot of the stuff? It's kind of hard.
Yeah, I think so. And I did go back and read the reports, and there was a couple of shows because this was in the big NXT versus AEW battle days where they were trying to pack each show with as much as they can. It was like 2 weeks straight of women's matches ending in huge locker room brawls with all the women out there. So then finally they had William Regal come out from his tower and declare the only way to settle this is War Games. So at least it wasn't like just how it is with Hell in the Cell sometimes where, these two guys are feuding, so they're going to have a Hell in a Cell match. It's like, no, these are two groups of women who have been attacking people and need to settle.
Yeah, and it's like if you want to look at the big moment with Dakota, it is set up with, you could say she masterminded getting Mia in there and then taking her out in the back of this match, which I don't know if we talked about, but that was Mia.
It was originally Mia Kim, and they find her attacked backstage in the pre-show, and that's when they finally asked Dakota to be part of the.
Were there like some moments of this match that like stick out to you the most? Because there's some big moments. I think that's why it's so high, is because the highs are high, right? So give me some of your favorite parts that happened.
Definitely the moonsault from the top. That was like, as soon as she started climbing, I remember the whole section of the crowd just stood up and was going crazy, and you knew something was going to happen with that.
I think that this match was the first time EO was really the EO of Stardom. I was a big Stardom guy, like 15, 16.
She had come out big time by this show.
Yeah, like this really was a culmination of like, this is how wild she could be, and she could do amazing things and just does some crazy stuff and really just showed up. I mean, she's the star of this match, and it's crazy. How do you keep her a heel? It's impossible. Yeah. They're never going to be able to do it because she's so charismatic and she does such amazing shit, and she's such a cool character. And the crowd was cheering for this. I don't know if you were part of the contingent cheering for her.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
It was very loud for her.
I think she was, the best, definitely the best performer in the match, and one of the best in the company at the time.
Yeah. And like, she's, she rises to the NXT heights pretty quickly after this, right? Anything else? Big spots that you kind of liked?
I mean, the whole finishing sequence with the iron, because they had everyone else in the other ring get knocked out, so it was just those two going at it, which was, kind of a nice capper to the match, just to see the two bosses fighting it out. And then the final riptide onto the chair was pretty cool.
It did look brutal, man. I kind of really liked. I like Candice a lot in this match. She kind of had her the Brian Pillman WarGames where he really takes a shit kicking. I thought she really does take a serious beating,
beaten down the whole time. But as always, her offense is still believable. That like she would be able to. It's not like she just starts hulking up,
Yeah, and it's I think that maybe she has some of her singles matches, maybe she kind of does a little more of that than maybe is necessary. But like, I think everyone really hit their spots perfectly in this match. Like every time there was something to be broken up, someone was there to do it. Kayla Ray, especially, just going balls to the wall, jumping in there, knocking. Anytime that it seemed like the good guys were going to take an advantage, she was kind of doing something really cool. I didn't love the Tower of Doom spot. I kind of don't really like those in matches anyway, but
yeah, this one was kind of alluded.
Yeah, they're always kind of a little contrived to me. So I didn't really love that. I'm trying to think of some other stuff that maybe. Do you think it would have been better? I don't know if that's a good way to put it. But Bianca, when you're watching this, do you see the future biggest star in the company? Like when you watch it back, do you see it?
I see someone who I know could be big and has enough, but I don't know if at this time yet if she had it all tied together.
You could see a little. You could see a little more. Maybe stoogey, like the way she sells it is a little more.
She's a little
Even like her heel selling is a little more like goofy, maybe old school, like heely, where she's being really like
showy about it.
Yeah, very well, good way to put it. Gesticulating kind of wildly. So I noticed that, but also you could tell she's just a mass star, and the power moves she does in this match are she's even more of the powerhouse in this than Ripley is, I think, too. So, who do you think comes out of this match looking the best out of all of them?
It's probably Rhea. I mean, she gets a clean pin over the champ. So,
I mean, this match is set up kind of to be Rhea's match, right? Coming out ready for her to become and ascend to the top of NXT, right? Like, and it does it perfectly. But there's so many extra parts where you set up one of the best feuds in the company without a title. Once again, I always love a feud about a no title, and that goes on for a while. Dakota and Tegan really have some of the best matches on takeovers for the next couple.
The next couple, I think. Yeah, definitely the Portland one is a great match.
So, you want to talk about your thoughts on the ratings? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I mean, I would say anything 4 or above is fair. I mean, I think once you say that, it's agreed that it's like a great match. So after that, it's kind of like, well, what's 4 1/4? What's 4.5?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very violent, and once again, I don't care about weapons in these modern war games matches. It's a different match, different style.
Yeah,
Punishment is the punishment of war games are not prevalent as be the idea of just down and need more for a match like this. And the big spots are well, you got a big cage. People want someone to jump off of it. So I have no problem with the inclusion of weapons. And I like to see that modern reviewers also don't have the problem with it. Like
yeah.
maybe
I'm
you
glad
could
that
see
people aren't
some
like, oh, there's no blood, there's no rough. It could only be 3 stars. Like,
right.
no, it's a totally
That's
different product.
yeah, that's a bunch of stodgy old dorks who don't know how to like watch a product evolve and become cool and more modern and take risks and do things that maybe pay off in the future. Um, all right, man. Any extra personal thoughts on the match? I mean, you were there. It's
Yeah,
pretty cool that you
no,
got to see a War Games live. I don't know how many people
yeah, I've
got to see a pre. Wait, I don't know anyone who's ever seen a pre NXT War Games live in person
no,
besides.
no, not that, but yeah, this was pretty good. It was Takeover Survivor Series weekend, and I also went to the Bears game today, so it was a long end. But this was a great start to it. I mean, this was the first match we saw live, so it was pretty good.
That's awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming on here and talking a little War
Yep.
Games with me. You have anything else to add? If not, just give me some plug skis if you got any.
No, yeah, just keep listening to the countdown. I think I will be back at a later date, and yeah, that's it.
You got drafted for a higher number than me. How dare you, Ryan Gray? I'm going to have a complaint lodged in the morning that Ryan never gets a higher spot than me, but that's okay. You're probably more competent than I am to do a better match than me.
Oh, I don't know if I'd say that.
For me, my band Chained to the Dead has a new album out, a new couple shirts. Check out our social medias and our Bandcamp page and all the streaming services for all that stuff. And catch me on Chronoso Monthly. And I think I'm on there with a
Oh
couple
yeah, I'm in
people.
that also.
Yeah, see, there you go. I'm usually the one getting my plugs done for me. So there you go. That's awesome, man. I'm very excited to see what's going on in the top 10, and we'll see you all next time. Good night.
Yep, see it.